the president just did a 20-minute interview with NBC News, where one of the many places Marc Caputo used to work, and it's kind of incredible, the stuff he said. I'm going to read some of it to you in a minute. But Mark, I want to give people a little bit insight here into. There's countless reporters who have the president's cell phone number. The New York Times reporter called him on Saturday morning at 5 in the morning or something after the president went on Truth Social and said this had happened, and he talked to him very briefly. How do reporters who have the president's cell phone number decide when to call him?
Well, the reporter there, Tyler Pager, detailed that about how he talked to his editor and they made a decision to pull the trigger. What I think was left out of that story, which is kind of interesting, is according to Semaphore, the New York Times and the Washington Post had been leaked operational details ahead of time and struck a deal with the administration. So it leaves open the possibility that Trump knew the call was coming and this is part of the deal.
Right.
I don't know, but
I had the same thought. But I mean, if you're a reporter with his cell phone number, why not just call him every day? See if he picks up.
Oh, because you don't want to piss off the press shop and your other sources that you're dealing with, Because number one, he might stop taking your call, and then number two, then the other people who should take your call stop taking your call, and then you got a problem.
Got it. Okay. So I don't know if this interview with NBC was one of those, let's call up the president and get an interview, or whether it was arranged. But the president said a lot of stuff. First of all, he said that the group of U.S. officials who are in charge of Venezuela, not surprised, Rubio, Hegseth, Stephen Miller, J.D. Vance, he said, quote, "It's a group of all. They have all expertise, different expertise." But then when asked who was ultimately in charge, he gave a one-word answer. Mark, what was the one-word answer? Me. Okay.
So the buck stops.
Yeah. He also said that we're not at war with Venezuela. Quote, "No, we're not. We're at war with people that sell drugs. We're with people that empty their prisons into our country and empty their drug addicts here." He said MAGA is fine with this. He said MAGA loves it. MAGA loves what I'm doing. MAGA loves everything I do. MAGA is me. MAGA loves everything I do, and I love everything I do too. That is one of the greatest Trump quotes of all time. MAGA is me, and they love everything, and I love them, and they love me. He denied that there had been communication between
Rodriguez. Rodriguez, probably.
Delcy Rodriguez, and he denied that there had been contact before the attack, which had been speculated about. All right. Lastly, and then Mark, I want you to react to what Trump said and to what I'm about to show you, and then Michelle as well. Here is Stephen Miller moments ago with Jake Tapper, just letting it all hang out.
Over the future of Greenland.
One last question, Stephen.
Doesn't make any sense.
One last question. The president was very quick to say that the recipient of the Nobel Peace Prize, opposition leader Machado in Venezuela, doesn't have the support in Venezuela to become the next president or the interim leader. And I wonder where he got that from, given that her cutout, Gonzalez, won the election last year 2 years ago, overwhelmingly. 70% of the vote or something like that. Why does the president think that Machado should not be the next leader? Why does he think she's weak?
First of all of Venezuela experts agree. All Venezuela experts agree that it would be absurd and preposterous for us to suddenly fly her into the country and to put her in charge. And the military would follow her, and the security forces would follow her. This is not a serious. It's not even a serious question.
So should there be an election?
Let me. If you give me the floor for 30 seconds, let me tell you what we are doing here, Jake. The United States, this is sort of foundational. The United States is using its military to secure our interests unapologetically in our hemisphere. We're a superpower, and under President Trump, we are going to conduct ourselves as a superpower. It is absurd that we would allow a nation in our own backyard to become the supplier of resources to our adversaries, but not to us, to hoard weapons from our adversaries, to be able to be positioned as an asset against the United States rather than on behalf of the United States.
Sovereign countries shouldn't be able to do what they want to do.
The Monroe Doctrine and the Trump Doctrine is all about securing the national interests of America. For years, we sent our soldiers to die in deserts in the Middle East to try to build them parliaments, to try to build them democracies, to try to give them more oil, to try to give them more resources. The future of the free world, Jake, depends on America being able to assert ourselves and our interests without apology. This whole period that happened after World War II, where the West began apologizing and groveling and begging
I don't even
and
know,
engaging these
honestly,
mass
what you're talking
reparation
about
schemes.
right now.
What I'm talking about, Jake, is the idea. And by the way, you do. I know You love doing that smarmy thing, Jake, and I was hoping to be better than that this time.
I asked you about if there should be an election.
Okay.
Exactly,
All right.
I asked you if there would be an election in Venezuela.
Okay, you can cut out of this. You can cut out of that. Mark, is Mark still there? I don't see Mark, but is Mark still there? Mark not there. All right.
Stuck with me.
While we figure out where Mark went. Michelle, what do you think of, you pick anything you want, the president's quotes to NBC or Stephen Miller's assertion that we can do whatever the United States can do whatever we want?
Well, clearly the administration thinks that. They've been saying that clearly the whole time, that they want to reinvigorate the Monroe Doctrine. They don't want our adversaries in this hemisphere. And they think that Venezuela is the core of that because China's been in there in the oil industry. Russia's been in there manufacturing arms. Hezbollah's in there. Iran, they're friends with Iran. And they don't want that. And they're clearly going to flex their muscle. Whether or not it's going to work, we have to see.
Yeah.
But certainly that they've made that clear since the Armada started.
Yeah. Mark, thoughts on the president's quotes to NBC?
I thought they were very instructive. I do think one thing that's been underreported in the press is what actual Venezuelans think about Maria Machado, including being a person who lives in Miami, knowing a number of Venezuelans, including Venezuelan journalists. They've actually said, surprisingly, though they don't like Trump, his comments betray or indicate a certain amount of knowledge that she's more upper class, she's refined, and Venezuela has been under more than 2 decades of strongman populism. And she probably would not be an electable figure, and certainly would not be a figure they'd want to install. Before Stephen Miller went off the rails there, what he was getting at is something I wrote about in Axios on Sunday in a piece about Rubio, which was that they've made sure not to do the Bush mistake from Iraq, which was a de-Baathification program. They don't want to go in there and just decapitate everyone and just have the place go to hell. There are gangs there that are called the colectivos, the collectives, who operate in tandem with the regime, who can really cause a lot of chaos quickly. And notably, yes, the United States is not being greeted as a liberator and there aren't roses being thrown. But Venezuela doesn't look any less stable today than it did before.
Right.
And that's sort of a testament to the surgical nature in which this is done. I'm not praising what has been done. I'm not excusing it or supporting it. But I'm just saying, like, on its merits, just in a pure sort of regime change targeted operation, this has been so far successful. And Donald Trump's comments about Machado are actually quite accurate and in keeping with what a lot of Venezuelan exiles here tell me.
Yeah. Brilliantly said. And it's just so important to always in cases like this, think about what might be happening in Venezuela. And it's very different than what might be happening. Michelle, I'd love for you to just comment on what Mark said, because you have Machado, who's perceived by some Nobel Prize winner and quite articulate. Is your sense the same as Mark, that she is not, that the White House is right, that she does not have broad popular support?
He's right that the White House was concerned that she didn't have enough support. She won, her ticket won an election.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about that. However, it's another thing to fly her in and install her in place and be sure that the place is not going to fall into chaos. And yes, post-Saddam Iraq looms large in the minds of Americans. They know that, and I think in the minds of the White House, and they did not want to repeat that. They want to make sure that there's stability on the ground. And what's interesting, what do Venezuelans think? Venezuelans in exile have been extremely excited. You look at capitals all over the world, they have been cheering. I've been watching Venezuelan state TV and watching social media very closely. Not a lot of cheering on the ground in Venezuela. And I don't think that's because the people are unhappy that Maduro is gone. I think they are happy that he's gone.
Right.
It's just they know that the Chavistas are still in charge. And so they cannot be out there being happy about it. And it shows, and what I see from Venezuelan TV and from all the social media, they are still in charge. So you have stability on the ground. As much as it makes people unhappy that the socialists are still in power, I think stability ends up looking like a win to this White House.
Yeah, and I'll just say with the same caveat that Mark gave, I'm not telling you what ought to be. I'm just telling you what is here. Right. There are three sources of information, and that give the administration confidence that they know what they're doing and that this situation is not out of control. One is Rubio's expertise. This is what he knows. He knows the politics, he knows the culture, he knows the people, he understands
The language.
the whole thing. Number one. Number two, the level of intelligence information that supported the operation to get the Maduros out, but also ongoing to understand what's going on in the country. It's fish in a barrel. This is not one or two people in the Kremlin. This is like broad-based people on the ground, American assets, literally American assets on the ground. American intelligence operators on the ground, but also just access to people in the Venezuelan government. And then third, the military to military contact we talked about on the show this morning. This is not flying blind. This is an awareness of what the traffic will bear on the ground. And again, you think about the alternative of the U.S. flying in people to rule the country, even though they did win an election. It's just not the image that they want right now.
Not a good idea. Not a good idea.
They're very glad to say that Cozy Earth is back as a sponsor. I wore my Cozy Earth pants all vacation. I wore them to the beach, and then I wore them. I'll mention the brand. I wore them to brunch at the Four Seasons, and no one said, Mark, why are you wearing your Cozy Earth pants here at the fancy Four Seasons? You just wore them on the beach. No one was the wiser. Cozy Earth products available, 20% off now, including the pants. CozyEarth.com, promo code 2WMM. That extends to the sheets, the bamboo sheets, the bubble cuddle blanket, all of the different pants that I love so much. Give the gift of luxury this year. Buy some for yourself. Make every moment comfortable. Head to CozyEarth.com. Use my code 2WMM for 20% off everything on the site. Be sure to mention you heard about Cozy Earth here. Some of you mentioned to me that you got Cozy Earth products over the holidays for your loved ones or got them as a gift, and everybody was very pleased. So right now, CozyEarth.com, promo code 2WMM for 20% off everything on the site.
They say that something that's easy is like a walk in the park. Well, easier than a walk in the park, hit the subscribe button, be part of the two-way community, never miss an episode, be part of our conversations. Thank you for your service to America.
And don't forget, you can now listen to the morning meeting and Two-Way Tonight on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.